Hello and welcome to another edition of An English Guy Watching Wrestling. I'm the English Guy, I'm Nick. Thank you so much for clicking on another video. I really do appreciate it. And in this one, we're going to be reviewing the 23rd of February edition, 2021, of Impact Wrestling. And again, another very, very good show. So, with that being said, let's go straight into the review. Opening match was a tables match between Cody Deaner, or Dino as he's now called, and Jake something. Of course, former cousins, the Deaner family. Dina has gone with Vinyl by Design, Eric Young's faction, and Jake has become Jake something. If something I was, no pun intended, that I was quite happy to see him do. And in all seriousness, this was a very good opening match. As tables matches is not something you see open a show very often, to be completely honest. But this was actually a decent and fun opener, and it was really good in all seriousness to see Jake win the match. And I think he's starting to get a bit more of an opportunity in Impact Wrestling, which is good because I like Jake as a singles wrestler and as a tag team wrestler. Not anymore, of course. But I really enjoyed this match as an opener, and it was the right call for Jake to win. As much as I do like Dino, and I think he's a very good character now, he's become heel, he shaved his head, completely different as he was before, and it's really, really working. And this was a good opening match, and I think it's the kind of push that Jake deserves because he does a very, 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 very good job. And after the match, his reward was justified in winning, and I'll explain why. After the match, Moose came out to attack Jake something after he'd gone through a tables match and put Dino through a table, saying he wants an Impact World title match. Now, of course, which one is the Impact World Champion was not there. Well, he was later in the night, but we'll get to that later. But he was not given the title match on that night. But Scott D'Amore came out and said, you want a world title match? You've got it. Moose has the TNA World Championship, as it was no longer the TNA World title, it's now the Impact World title. But Scott D'Amore said, no, now officially recognised as the TNA World Championship. Later on in the night, Jake Something would challenge Moose for the TNA World title. So a world title match, but maybe not the one that was expected, but a really, really interesting turn, and we'll get to that main event later on. So, that being said, thumbs up to both men for the first match. Can't fault it. As you don't very often see a tables match open the show, but it did, so nothing wrong with that. Anyway, next match was the winner of this match. So the winners, I should say, I'll explain that in a minute. Would go into a triple threat match next week's Impact to become the #1 contender for the Impact X Division Championship. So it was Trey, Josh Alexander, and Willie Mack tagging against Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Black Taurus. And the X Division this year has been so, so good. This was another fantastic way to continue to showcase what it's all about. All 6 men, including Josh Alexander, who you would not consider an X Division wrestler, but of course the X Division has never been about weight limits, no limits, as it's said by them. Continues just to be great. And Black Taurus in this match was, I think, the MVP. And that's not to say take anything away from all other wrestlers, because all other wrestlers are just that good. But Black Taurus, I think this was a good chance to show what he can really do. And he showed it with abundance. You could see where that Lucha Libre training and influence comes in from him. And despite his size, he can move quick. And obviously, Luchador, as he is, that's going to be apparent. This was such a good showcase by him, and I think was the MVP. As I said, but like I said, not to take anything away from the other 5 men. The winners of the match were Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Black Taurus, who, of course, next week, will face each other in a triple threat match to determine the #1 contender. And whoever it is, it's going to be good. That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, so thumbs up to all 6 men. There you go. Next match was a non-title match, Triple XL versus the Good Brothers. Now, I was a little bit surprised that the belts weren't on the line, but I realised why they weren't on the line, because Finn Juice, as you know, Finn Juice has said, David Finlay and Juice Robinson from New Japan Pro Wrestling have started wrestling in Impact Wrestling now as well. And they've kind of had a little bit of here and there with the Good Brothers, because obviously have both been in New Japan. And it's been entertaining to watch. And of course, they're kind of influencing themselves to get a title match. And next week, they're tagging with the Good Brothers. Finn Juice, as they're called. Looking forward to that. But this was overall a decent tag match, to be honest. And good to see the Good Brothers get a win over a bigger team than them, and not very often you see that because Gallows is a huge guy. Carl Anderson is a small man himself, but he gets Triple XL. They're called Triple XL for a very good reason. But I really like them as a tag team as well, to be honest. I think legitimately the biggest tag team in wrestling right now. I'm not too sure, but I do like them too. But this was a good tag match in all seriousness. I think the Good Brothers winning was the right call. So, well done all four men. Next match was a short match. Well, it was supposed to be, I should explain, Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers. Brian Myers got a doctor's note, an eye patch saying he's not medically cleared to wrestle. They won't prove that he was, but obviously it's playing up to the angle. So that match never happened. So it was Eddie Edwards versus Hernandez, and the shortest match of the night, I think, by some considerable distance. And Eddie Edwards winning was the right call. I think, as much as I do like Hernandez, for a big guy, he's like a cruiserweight. Eddie Edwards winning with the Boston knee party out of nowhere. That was a good surprise. But see Brian Myers as Eddie Edwards next week with Matt Cardona as a special guest referee. It's going to be very interesting indeed. So, there you go. Next match was a number one contenders match for the Knockout Tag Team titles. The team was Kimberly and Susan versus Jordan Grace and Jazz, who of course have had opportunities to become the one contenders in the past. Never got a chance to win, never won the tournament. But of course now they are number one contenders for face the champions. Not too sure when, maybe at the next pay-per-view. They haven't announced that yet. But anyway, this was actually a very, very good match, to be honest. I really like Kimberly and Susan as a tag team. And I've said it before, Susan, we all know who it is. It's Su Yung. Has just been fantastic in her character work. She really has. Whether it's Susan, Susie, or Su Yung, she just knows how to bring out the best at whatever she does. No exception here, even though she was shown some decent wrestling in this match. But the MVP, I think, was all four women. It was a good tag match. And I think the right team won. As much as I do like Kimberly and Susan, I think the right team won because Jazz is, I think, on a retirement tour, shall we say. But to see her and Jordan Grace finally get a shot at the tag titles is great. So I'm really looking forward to whenever it is they have the match. So, thumbs up. Which brings us to the main event and my match of the night. And that's not to say there weren't some good matches tonight, because there were. It was the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match between Moose and Jake Something. And even before the bell rung, I absolutely loved what Jake Something did. Okay, as you know, Moose, if you've never seen Moose before come out in TNA, he comes out, the spotlight shines on him, and it's all dark, but the spotlight shines on him. But just as he was coming out, he came out first. Jake Something attacks him from behind and stands in the spotlight and say, "It's my turn now." And that expression on his face was great. And he continued to kind of dismantle. Oh, sorry, phone says I'm in for a thing. So kind of dismantle Moose a little bit. And this was a fantastic match from Jake Something. And Moose, as of late, is starting to show a little bit more all-round wrestling, like high flying, technical. I really, really like it. For a guy his size, he is not a small guy. I think he's 6'7". He's a very, very tall individual. No, 6'4" maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, that being said, it was great to see him showcase a little bit more of this match, even though he's heel. But Jake Something just was superb in this match as well. Probably his best performance I've seen in Impact Wrestling to date. And I really couldn't fault this choice of a main event. It was a very, very good main event. And hopefully Jake Something continues to get that push in Impact Wrestling, because I think if he continues doing what he's doing, he's going to be a big star, because he's doing very, very well so far. And after the match, when Moose retained the title, Rich Swann came out, and it's official, and the next pay-per-view, it will be for the Impact World title, Rich Swann versus Moose. The TNA World Championship is not on the line unless they decide to somehow maybe unify the titles. I'm not sure. We'll be interested to see how that plays out, because I wouldn't mind seeing it title for title or unification match. Or just maybe Moose winning about and becoming a double champion. Who knows? But Moose has been on a roll as of late, and so has Jake Something. So both men closed what was a very, very good episode of Impact this week. And as I said before, Impact Wrestling this year is just really firing on all cylinders. They're doing a really good job. Their relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling is a very good one, I think. Finn Juice is a great tag team to come in. The X Division is just really shining, as it usually always does. it's just great to see, and I really want to see Impact continue to have a great 2021. So I've got to give a thumbs up to Impact Wrestling, and to, of course, whilst I'm at it, a thumbs up a thumbs up here to Moose and to Jake Something. So there you go, a very good episode of Impact. Again, as I said, they've had a great year so far, and hopefully it continues. That is it for this review. I will say thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you next time. So until that time, take care.